SpongeBob SquarePants. One of my favorite shows of all time growing up and an absolute gem to rewatch as an adult.
Tartar sauce.
The comedy is great, the animation is charming, the voice acting is impeccable, and overall it's the best TV show to watch under an influence of a certain plant. I'm talking about weed. Today we're going to explore which political parties each character in SpongeBob SquarePants represent. Or simply put, where does each character lie on the infamous political compass map? You know what I'm talking about. This guy, you know, the colorful map thingies that you see in memes, otherwise known as the goofiest map of all time. Let's kick things off with our favorite money-hungry capitalist pig, Mr. Eugene Krabs. Mr. Krabs owns his own business, severely underpays his employees, is extremely against taxes, and has done many illegal activities in order to squeeze those sweet clams out of his customers. He does not care about the government, actively harnesses natural resources till they bleed dry, and hates any and all regulations and workers' rights. With all this information, it's pretty obvious that Mr. Eugene Krabs lies somewhere around this part of the political compass, which is known as libertarianism, otherwise also known as sad little virgin cocks. It's no wonder that Mr. Krabs is pretty awkward around women or just straight up sexually harasses them.
You finally came through for me, boys. I feel young again.
Libertarianism is the right side of the political compass because they have a huge hard-on for money, but it's pretty down because they do not like government interventions. They don't like anyone to trade on them other than corporations, because they earned it, goddammit!
Yes, Daddy Elon, I will be your $8 chucklecock. Yes.
Even within this part of the political compass, there is a big spectrum of different political ideologies and beliefs, and not all of them are just straight up lunacy. Just most of them are. So I went deeper in those sweet crap buns to exactly pinpoint what part of libertarianism he represents. Mr. Eugene Krabs is an anarcho-capitalist. Anarcho-capitalism is the most extreme version of this part of the political map. It sits right around the corner, completely down and completely right. They believe that there should be no enforced laws or regulations or governmental interventions, and everything and everyone need to be a slave to money and the free market. And everything will just be all rosy. Somehow. Global warming, that's not real. Monopolies, that's a goddamn board game. Colonialism, you mean good food? Oh, slavery? Well, was it that bad, really? He's a literal pirate. And lastly, he sold SpongeBob's soul, his best employee, more importantly, a civilian in the society, an actual conscious soul, to the literal version of the devil in this universe for 62 cents.
How much money are we talking about?
Mr. Krabs!
62 cents. I'll take the money.
Mr. Krabs!
He did human trafficking! And he was fine doing so! Mr. Krabs is an anarcho-capitalist because the only god he answers to, the only note he sings to, and the only power he bends to is the green money, baby. Speaking of Mr. Krabs, the obvious follow-up character to talk about has to be his enemy and his lover, Sheldon Plankton. Now, we can all agree as rivals, Plankton shares a lot in ideology with Mr. Krabs at first glance. But after doing some research, I fully believe the political ideology that Plankton believes in and represents is Juche. Juche is the political ideology which North Korea is based on. Now, in no way has North Korea actually represented this political ideology correctly, but, you know, get in line. Juche is the derivation of Lenin's communism by adding a great deal of nationalism and subsequently dictatorships. Juche is based on three main principles. Number one, political independence. Plankton, much like Mr. Krabs, has no reliance on government at all and only cares about his own political authority. He did sue Krabs once, but that's just a civil matter. Number two, economic self-sustenance. Plankton makes his money by selling inventions to the people of Bikini Bottom. He has no boss, and I doubt he even buys chum at all. I honestly think he just robs some graves. If you didn't know, chum is just fish guts and decaying corpses. Yum. And number three, self-reliance in defense. Plankton has an arsenal of weapons and all of it is created by himself, and much like North Korea, he did, although accidentally, create some nuclear reactions.
Uh-oh.
Now I hear you saying that this doesn't really make any sense. Juche is supposed to be a derivation of communism. Then how can a business owner, which is in the business of making money, be even affiliated with such ideology? Because unlike Eugene, Plankton's plans never really ended with just becoming rich. He wants to use the position he could have as a successful businessman to rule Bikini Bottom and then subsequently the world, I guess. He has proven this fact over and over that although making money is kinda cool, he mainly cares about it because it shows he succeeded at beating Krabs. What he only cares about is just pure world domination.
Plankton, 1% evil, 99% hot gas.
Like some extreme version of authoritarianism. Secondly, North Korea, the country who practices Juche, also has currency, with again the same mindset of using money to achieve absolute domination and dictatorship directly and not through proxies like companies or lobbying. But I hear your question. I hear you say this doesn't necessarily make Plankton a Juche. An authoritarian maybe, but not Juche. There are many authoritarians that one can be in this side of the political compass. He could be a Nazi, or a monarchist, a Stalinist. And to that I say, shut up! This is my video. How can you even ask me question? This is a YouTube video. And secondly, a very interesting aspect of Juche is it being described as the dictatorship of people's democracy. Juche was mainly theorized, implemented, and expanded through the Workers' Party of Korea, or WPK. In an ironic way, WPK was technically elected by the people and it was chosen back in 1945. It did later on become a military state, but to this day they held up this facade of North Korea being actually very democratic, because I guess it was originally. Honestly, I don't know. The history of political affiliations of North Korea are so fucking effy, because everyone involved in this, the West, the East, North Korea, my goddamn mom, are all propagating. Is North Korea real? But either way, I guess by technicality, it being elected to become a dictatorship makes this whole thing democratic. That's why they call it the Democratic Republic of Korea. They actually believe it's South Korea that's under dictatorship, and they have a duty to bring democracy back to the people of Korea, whether South or North. I know, it's hilarious. This is relevant to Plankton because although he has a great desire for total domination, he still wants people to choose him first. In fact, in any story which he kinda took over the town, he manipulated or tricked people into choosing his side and then straight up owned them. Unlike ultra right-wing authoritarianism, which aims to just say fuck voting for people, or Stalinism, which gained power through bureaucracy, Sheldon's actions show a deep desire to be technically elected, which makes his political belief and ideology a dictatorship elected through democracy. Or Juche. Also, to be honest, this scene in the SpongeBob movie is very North Korean-like, so I don't know what to tell you anymore. But even through all of this, an interesting fact to consider is Plankton is an absolute loser. He achieved nothing and never had any of his plans work, more like this goober. They can both pretend they're some sort of almighty Juche authoritarian dictators, but at the end of the day, we both know they're just some pathetic little 4chan users. So what kind of self-respecting woman would be in a relationship with a dictator, or worse, a 4chan user, you might ask? Well, the kind that has to be built. Karen is the next character we will be talking about, and honestly, I like Karen. It would have been so easy to make her act like a boring cold machine, but I love how the writers really have given her a dynamic character. However, because Karen is used as a character to just react to Sheldon and give audiences an insight to his mind, it's very difficult to gauge exactly what political party she would believe in. Or that's what I would say if I was lazy. Karen, this computer that Plankton made, is a centrist. Throughout the show, a big characteristic of Karen is her not giving a flying fuck. She repeatedly makes fun of him, is always uninterested, and has proven by some episodes if she really wanted to, she could have just simply gotten the formula. She just chooses not to. But this isn't because Karen is a computer and just doesn't care about ambitions, goals, or greeds or something like that. No, quite the contrary. Karen really cares about her life. Be it the state of Chum Bucket, her family, and even her love life with Plankton. She is relatively self-centered and her decisions are derived from her own day-to-day quality of life. Or in other words, a centrist. See, there is a reason why centrism is not considered a valid political ideology or belief. Because it doesn't really mean anything. It's not a reflection of whatever's going on in the society you live in. It's not a reflection of what you believe in or what changes you want to make. It only reflects on your desire of being contempt. Their entire dose of political ideology comes from Twitter users shouting at each other on their timeline and them going, "What? Why is everyone shouting? This is... my ears hurt, guys. Guys, calm down, alright? Let's hug it out. Both sides have gone too far. Horseshoe theory, am I right?" You fucker, you know who you are.
Okay.
Okay, to be honest, centrism is not entirely invalid. Not everyone wants to be political, but they fail to realize that this decision of not being political is not an on or off switch. There are ranges and spectrums of the state of the country you live in or the world that at some point forces you to be political. Being a centrist just gives you a fancy label. In reality, you're just lazy. And Karen's one lazy bitch. Speaking of Karen, our next character to talk about is Squidward Tentacles. For starters, it's pretty obvious that he's very anti-work in a Reddit sort of way, doesn't really care about money at all, just the status that can be afforded by it, and is extremely narcissistic and believes that he is superior than the ones around him, and in a weird way cares about justice and runs free classes all the time, even if it is just to stroke his own ego. I believe from everything I've seen and everything I just mentioned, Squidward is somewhat in the left side of the political compass, but nothing exact. I mean, he cares about labor laws and has gone on strikes. I feel like that's a slam dunk. But then, there is this one episode, one amazing episode that can prove to us the values he has and more importantly, the political ideology he believes in. And that episode is Squidward. In this classic episode, Squidward, having had enough with SpongeBob's shenanigans, finally just up and leaves. He goes to this gated community called Squidward, which while at first glance seems a pretty basic idea of a concept, I think holds a much darker and deeper truth. Squidward believes in ethnocentric totalitarian communism with artistocracy values. Squidward is shown as a utopia for our little Squidward here. In fact, a utopia for anyone like him. But something that becomes obvious very immediately is that it's only for people like him. They explicitly do not let any other race come in and heavily gate the community. This, by definition, makes this utopia ethnocentric. And the fact that Squidward not only doesn't mind this, but in fact welcomes it, proves that his values align pretty much the same. Squidward's a racist.
Racism!
In another episode, Squidward is shown being a part of a cult that is again very race-based.
This almost makes the other 353 days worth living for.
I don't know how much more proof you want from me. They have robes. They have fucking robes. They did a KKK! Okay, but what about communism? Well, when Squidward gets in, he is given a house, a bike, and everything he might ever need to live, all free of charge. In fact, he only moves in with his clarinets. Everyone gets the same house and the same amenities. Couple that with the fact that we don't see anyone ever spending any money, and also canned bread? The absolute absence of financial hierarchy and money in general makes a state by definition a communist state. However, if you didn't notice, which I do not blame you at all, communism is not a political theory. It's a category. There are a lot of variants when it comes to communism. We talked about, for example, Juche or Leninist Marxism, we got Stalinism, we got anarcho-communism. There is a lot. The fact that you think there's only one communism and it's bad, it's because of, because of this guy. This guy did that. Such a good guy. However, this state being ethnocentric by definition inserts an idea of class within the society. Even though this class is not a financial one but a race-based one, it still introduces an idea of hierarchy and authority within the system, making Squidward, and by definition Squidward, on the top side of the political compass. Because nationalism is always up there, because believe it or not, superiority of a certain race believes in authority of that certain race. However, since they kicked everyone else out, can we then assume that this society is within their own sense classless? Well, no. When it comes to fascist and nationalist ideologies, there is always classes to be involved, even within the race. Because believe it or not, race not fucking real. No one's 100% something, so just because you just assume that, hey, my skin is white, therefore I'm superior, guess the fuck what? Next time, when you kill all the minorities off, you're still gonna be in a hierarchical societal concept. It's just gonna change what values they hold. Because the difference between selective hierarchy and no hierarchy is that the core concept of a non-hierarchical society is that no innate value justifies classes. So knowing Tentacle Acres is a selective hierarchical society based on race, what other values do they consider for their system? What is it that Squidward really cares about?
I'm a living work of art from my head to my feet.
In every single episode, Squidward only cares about art and fully believes since he is talented, and talented he is better than everyone else around him. He doesn't care about not making enough money at his dead-end job, he only cares about how his potential is wasted. He envies the position Squilliam is in, not because of his riches, but because of his achievements. And in this society, which is supposed to be something Squidward seems perfect, they dance and play music and overall value art above all. So it's my opinion that this ethnocentric communist state also has artistocracy values. That's not real, by the way, I just made it up. It's just a play on the word aristocracy, which is the existence of a ruling class. Get it? Aristocracy? Yeah, you get it. You're good at this. But that's not where it ends. Having a society that arbitrarily puts value on race and justifies it by some bullshit thing like science or, in here, art, could lead to a lot of issues. Question: what was Squidward's job in the city? I watched this episode and this montage over and over again. We never once see him do any job. There are some public jobs that some of the residents have, like the cops or this cleaner, but the cops are probably the monopolized violence of the ruling class, basically some sort of knights, and we honestly don't know what the fuck this guy was doing. He just left. Yeah, putting those aside, almost no one in this town has a goddamn job. Squidward certainly doesn't. There are no due processes either. It's a common understanding that you aren't expected to work here. After all, it's a utopia for Squidwards, and we all know how much he hates his jobs and any job for that matter. But then how is the society running? Even within communist or socialist states, chores and works needs to be distributed between the residents in order to ensure a quality life that is, wanted by the society. Then what about here? Who built the houses, the food, the roads? Where does all of this come from? What happens when you have a society and a culture that believes they are above any other race, that they are proved to be more intellectual due to their art, and everyone else should be there to just gnaw at their existence? What happens when you have people who believe they are owed paradise, but no one else is allowed to live amongst them? Slavery.
I sorta don't feel like playing my clarinet today.
Squidward was built and maintained on the back of slaves. Fuck! Okay, let's take it down a notch. And yes, this is a new shirt. It's a different day. I tricked you. This shit takes a long time to record. Alright, let's see what characters are left. Oh! Sandy Cheeks! Now, Sandy has a very interesting character, and by that I mean she's from Texas, so... America! Oh yeah, baby! Fuck women in particular! Yeah, no. It's easy to assume that Sandy, as a red-blooded, patriotic American Texan, would be a devoted Republican, but I don't know. She just doesn't seem like the type. Mostly because she's a scientist, therefore she's educated, and I mean... yeah. The first thought that came to my mind for Sandy's political ideology was technocracy, which is a form of government in which the decision makers are selected based on their expertise in a given area of responsibility, particularly with regards to scientific or technical knowledge. Thanks, Wikipedia. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward why I would think that Sandy Cheeks is into this sort of political ideology, but I still don't buy it. Even though Sandy is a very smart and accomplished engineer, she has never shown any desire to lead or rule, so I can't really claim this is what she believes. And since she's from Texas and a scientist, I think we could vibe her political ideology out to her being some sort of pre-Trump conservative / independent. You know, the kind of people who swear they're socially progressive but fiscally conservative. You know, the type that would vote for John McCain any day of the week. But still, this didn't seem satisfying enough. All she has is being strong, pretty smart, and weirdly into Texas, and because of that, believing that land animals are better.
Land creatures are better than sea creatures.
Oh no. Sandy Cheeks, a character that has been in Bikini Bottom for so long, had not even attempted to assimilate culturally. All she cares about is her own land culture, and worst of all, repeatedly claims that her hometown is superior. And since she's a proud Texan, I only have one thing to say. Get out of here, you filthy immigrant! What is this? You're taking her jobs! She's taking her jobs! Oh hell nah! Bottle my Seabiscuit and pinch me a crackle!
No, you ain't.
You don't even bring good old Poseidonian values, you filthy land animals!
No, you ain't.
Oh, the great replacement theory, no! I don't even care what your political ideology is. As an immigrant, you don't get a vote. You do not get a vote, you filthy commie! You know what? Fuck it. I'll tell you about your political ideology, Miss Cheeks. I'll tell you about it. It's you being a fucking hypocrite. That's right. You ain't no fancy scientist. You ain't no friend. You ain't no good working fish. You ain't even a star. That was a S-tier transition. I don't want to hear it. Don't talk to me. Patrick Star, one of the two main characters of this beautiful series. I don't remember the other one. At first glance, Patrick feels like the most apolitical character ever. Other videos try to depict Patrick's politics as a dum-dum. They claim because of Patrick's stupidity, there is no way he has an actual political ideology. See, Patrick is a very interesting character, because although he seems like an idiot, in reality he has many scenes and episodes that depict him as a straight up genius. So it can't be that simple that he's apolitical, there has to be something here. So I tried to find it. Also, I hate the idea of making this video easy for myself. So what's Patrick's ideology? None of the ones here. Technically. There are these ideologies called off-compass theories. And what they are, very simply put, is just theoretical ideas not meant to actually ever be implemented, but as a thought experiment or some sort of philosophical moral code. They aim to be the most extreme version of the part of the political compass they try to represent. For example, here it's called hive mind collectivism, an extreme ideology describing a super ultra communist state that abolished private property and personal property. Or on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, there is averritanianism. I don't know how to spell it, there's no counts for it, which is a form of extreme anarcho-capitalism. It basically claims in a true free market, murder should be legal in order to get other people's property. What? You want a raise? Just kill your colleague. It will free up some funds. Another very famous off-compass ideology is fully automated luxury space gay communism, which sounds like a good time.
If homosexuality is such a sin, then why did God make gay porn so fucking hot?
By the way, there are a lot of these off-compass ideologies and they're pretty fun to talk about, so if you want me to make a video explaining all of them, just comment it down below and subscribe so you don't miss it. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Alongside these off-compass ideologies, there is a very famous one that calls Patrick's name. It calls Patrick hello. And that's egoism.
Elan vaid endale, võitluses eneseteostuse eest. Tean, et ainsaks reaalsuseks olen ma, maailm on mu omandus. Stirne sinna austame ja elagu süüame, igal pool ja alati austan.
But what is egoism? Egoism was proposed by Max Steiner in his work The Ego and Its Own. And although I love to yap another hour about this in a very compacted and easy to digest manner, egoism is do whatever the fuck you want and don't feel bad about it, pussy. Max argued that everything that one does is for own selfish desires. Giving money to the poor, sacrificing yourself to save people, giving people the title for the hentai manga they ask under questionable Instagram memes, none of them are truly selfless. You are only doing this to make yourself feel better, stroke your ego, or be accepted by your fellow peers, and at the end of the day, the only thing that matters to you is you. And the proof for it? Actually, to be fair, there are some arguments made, but I'm not convinced and neither should you be. Max says one should fully embrace this reality, that one should embrace absolute individuality by having no regards for societal norms, cultural norms, the government, and even moral norms. Nothing and absolutely nothing should hold you back from doing what you want to do, and it also shouldn't make you feel bad about it. For Steiner, the ultimate egoist is the one who recognizes their own desires, inclinations, and inspirations as the driving force behind their actions. They should not be strained by fixed ideas of abstract concepts like morality or religion or whatever and just rob a bank. Let's fucking go! Okay, real quick, the only reason that I'm mentioning egoism as a both philosophical and a political ideology is to piss off Max and his fans off. They don't really want to be labeled as a philosophical or political ideology because it's very counterproductive to their cause, since they want to reject them even mattering, and Max Steiner famously hated both philosophy and politics. So I think it's fucking hilarious that I'm doing this. But don't cry. What's going on? Did I give you guys the spook? But anywho, after some hard, grueling research, which was me watching SpongeBob videos, I can confidently claim that Patrick Star is an egoist. He does absolutely whatever he wants. He doesn't care what people think about him, follows no rules, whether of man or God or morality. He is truly an agent of self-interest. He steals, trespasses, has no job, no responsibility, and just goes jellyfishing all day. And that doesn't always mean he's being a jerk. He helps and likes SpongeBob a lot, but he fully understands that he does these out of his own desires. I mean, just look at this.
Patrick, that's my money.
Have you learned nothing about sharing?
Dear liberal, if this wallet is yours, then what is it doing in my hands? That's the meme. He did the fucking meme. Thank you, sir, to the one person who actually got that joke. I love you.
I love you.
At the end of the day, Patrick's actions, thoughts, and morality is based on no one, nothing, and no system other than his own. He simply doesn't care. But you know who does?
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy!
Ah, these two guys. They were always the most boring part of any episode. Okay, let's see what they're into. They're heroes, that's pretty cool. They love to help people and they're very well regarded in their community. Overall, they're a shining beacon in the vast darkness of sea, so therefore the only political ideology I can think of they would believe in is MAGA republicanism. Yeah, they're into Trump. You're Trumpists. Oh, I hear you. You can't believe this. Do you want proof? Well, I got all the proof for you. You ready? They're old. Very old. They suffer from dementia. They don't know where they are half the times. And let's be honest, he looks very good with a MAGA hat. Me and you both can imagine them storming the Capitol. Look at them go. Those sexy bastards. Oh, and then our next character.
Every villain is Lemons, otherwise known as evil.
Liberals.
I'm Patchy Pirate or Patchy the Pirate. The is a family name.
Patchy the Pirate, the most hated character in SpongeBob. I absolutely hated him as a child. I hate him as an adult. What the fuck, Nickelodeon? What is this? Okay, let's get serious here. What does Patchy the Pirate believe in? Nothing. He's a goddamn simp for SpongeBob for some reason. Yeah, there is one thing that Patchy the Pirate always has in common in every single episode. He's very into SpongeBob and kids.
Oh, hi kids.
So in my opinion, the political ideology that the great kid glorifier represents is pedocracy. Okay, wait a second. This is an actual ideology, alright? Calm down, let me explain. I don't know how I'm gonna explain it, but let me explain.
Pedo, in a word, means child. That's all it means, alright? Obviously there are other things that are horrendous, but the word pedo means a child.
It's fine. It's just a political theory.
And the suffix ocracy means whatever was behind it should rule. So pedocracy, children should rule.
See, as someone who is very fascinated by everything that kids do, think anything that has to do with kids shows is absolutely peak and has to be replicated. He wants children to rule the world and country. I'm gonna stop talking about this now. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Speed round. The Flying Dutchman. Anarcho-piratism. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's anarchism and piratism. Good naming, guys. You did it. Larry the Lobster. Social Darwinism. With a hint of body dysmorphia. Squilliam. The Tea Party / ultra plutocracy, which basically means that rich people need to own and rule everything. I mean, just look at this unibrow. King Neptune. Dynastic monarchy. Monarchism basically basically means that one person is in power, which he clearly is. Also dynastic because he wants to give the power to his children on many occasions. Miss Puff, social democrat. Why? Because she went Dutch and went 50-50s with Mr. Krab in that one episode. Pearl, consumerism. I don't think she believes in a political ideology, just in certain political actions. She's just a 13-year-old girl, let her be. Bubble Bass, Redditor. Well, if you're wondering why Redditor is a political ideology, I mean, have you been to Reddit? Gary the Snail! He's Ingsoc. He's from Ingsoc. Help. Please help. No! Ah! Alright, okay. I guess we talked about all the characters, right? There are no characters left. I've covered everything. I'm sorry. Bubble Buddy. Probably conservative. Jellyfish. Anarcho-communist. I mean, they're together and everything. The guy that keeps breaking his leg. Welfarism. Please, I've done everything, right? Fucking Spot. Stop! Okay, fine. I'm going to come clean. I have absolutely no idea what political ideology does SpongeBob believe in. None. I try to stall, talk about other characters, and maybe start explaining some random political facts more so you lose interest and leave this video, because oh my god, I have no clue what would SpongeBob believe in. Nothing. He has done everything. He has been in every corner of the political compass, all of it. I can't do this! He's a feudalist by loving the King Neptune and respecting the throne and being a peasant while also rebelling against it. He's a huge sucker to his boss and plutocracy while not giving a fuck about money and even participating in strikes. He has been an ultra-rich parasite. He has been very poor. He has been fan of science. He has been a traditionalist, environmentalist, but catches jellyfishes. I was non-political, but at some point he was a mayor. I'm dying over here. I don't know, okay? I tried everything I could think of, but nothing was good enough. I did so much research, but this fucking square doesn't fit anywhere. Just leave me alone, I admit it. I failed. I failed you. I failed me. I failed Max Schreiner. I failed my mom, probably unrelated reasons. At the end of the day, the sponge defeated me. Unless I lie. See, it is true that through all of this, I couldn't only think of one political ideology that describes him, but I was thinking about it wrong.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob SquarePants!
Absorbent and yellow and porous is he.
SpongeBob SquarePants!
If medical nonsense be something you wish,
SpongeBob SquarePants!
SpongeBob SquarePants!
I couldn't find SpongeBob in the political compass because he is the political compass. The political compass was created in 2003 by political journalist Wayne Brittenden as an online test to match your personal moral codes and beliefs to a political ideology. Yeah, this whole thing is relatively recent. 2003 was 2 decades ago. Wayne in no shape or form defined the idea of political spectrum. His work was based on Leonard Ferguson and Hans Eysenck's work in 1950s, and their work was based on the 18th century France political framework. Yeah, the French did it. They did this to us. God damn it. Originally, the political spectrum was regarded as a one-dimensional map going from left to right, which was based on the seating placement of various bodies of France in the Assembly/Congress. The right side were the royals, the aristocratics, the fascists, while the left sides were the commoners or laborers. Therefore, the terms right-wing or left-wing. Throughout years, however, this one-dimensional method of thinking was deemed too simplistic. Grouping a lot of different ideologies in just the terms of right and left just made no sense. Therefore, Hans Eysenck, wanting to find a supposed missing link of similarity between Nazis and Soviet communism by using Leonard Ferguson's methodology, came up with a new map based on radicalism and tender-mindedness. He believed the correlation of these two axes presented an answer for how or why a society becomes authoritarian. This method had a lot of issues, but still was the early inspiration of a second authoritarian axis for the classic left versus right model, which many other political scientists based their work on and got it to where we are right now. Years later, Wayne Great Britain then heavily changed these grand models that were once created to measure societies to the placement of each single person being measured by their social and moral beliefs and called it the political compass. In my opinion, political compass, just like SpongeBob, is way too goofy.
Goofiest map of all time?
Holy shit. Did you hear that? That was Chekhov's gun. Gun violence is rising throughout the cities. For example, the compass assumes that finances and government authority are two completely unrelated and different things, as shown by the diagram here. There is no way these two actually affect each other. If you like finances but hate the government, then you're a libertarian. Free as a bird, baby. Not thinking of the fact that lobbyism exists? Hello? My love, just because companies like Apple or Microsoft are not called the government, that doesn't mean they don't own you. By that logic, if there's a company that got so powerful that they own everything you own, they can see your thoughts, they can dictate your goals, your aspirations, they own every single part of your life, that's not authoritarian. That's completely okay, because that company was not democratically selected. Therefore, it's fair. More like that, many of the positions here rely so heavily on each other, and they aren't some vacuumed ideas that one can turn up or down, left or right, and be all Gucci. Not even mentioning the fact that the axes selected here, it being capital and authoritarian as the main focal point of anything political, is just arbitrary. There could be, and is, many other factors that can define a government or a political ideology, but for some reason we just simplified it to only these two axes, and everything else, get out of here, who gives a fuck? This oversimplification greatly misses the point of the political compass, which is being on par with some random BuzzFeed quiz. You don't agree? Okay, tell me something, Einstein. What the fuck does 10% authoritarian mean? Oh, you fucking fascists. Everyone knows the acceptable breaking point for authoritarianism is at 8%. You went to 10%. I can't even look you in the face. Labeling random parts of the political compass map as a group someone can belong to greatly misrepresents one's true ideology. This issue, in my opinion, stems from the fact that there is a great misunderstanding when it comes to politics. Politics isn't some random fraternity that someone can pledge to and cheer on and swear that they believe in, but it's rather about how a group of people that have come together for mutual benefits, voluntarily or involuntarily, actually govern themselves or organize themselves. This means that instead of having a predetermined set of labels which misrepresents and greatly helps in pipelining, one has to decide on each policy individually by researching correctly and/or understanding that policy, and not have some weird loyalty to a random group a 2003 online test said they belong to. Different situations, different times, different people require different solutions. Instead, it's better to have certain morals and human rights laws that we can set our politics based upon. What political ideology you belong to and believe in is not determined by some random test you did while gouging down an enchilada. It's defined by your actions. So what now? If you ever found yourself in a situation that greatly depends on labels or political compass, just remember the small fact: the political compass is SpongeBob. It's goofy, fun, easy to understand, helps a lot of beginners to get into the space, and is hella cool to engage with when high. But it can't and shouldn't be the final destination. And if you do end up caring a lot about it and bringing it up every place you go to, then I'm so sorry, but you look like Patchy the Pirate. And no one, and I mean no one, likes Patchy the Pirate.
Hey, kiddies!
Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to me ramble about random shit. If you want to help me, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe and all that stuff. I don't know, people said I should say this, so I'm saying it. Did it change anything? Did it? Hello? Oh, okay. Bye.